Imagine for a moment that the reality you see around you, the streets, the buildings, the sky above your head, is not the full picture. What if our world was only a thin layer, a surface reality, resting upon countless hidden dimensions we cannot see? What if everything we experience, every thought, every dream, and even every coincidence, was part of a vast connection between visible and invisible worlds? This idea that there is a veil between our world and others has fascinated humanity for thousands of years, from the shamans of ancient tribes to the mystics of the Middle East. From philosophers in Greece to modern scientists studying quantum theory, all have in some way touched on this mystery, the existence of unseen realms and the possibility of traveling between them. The veil is often described as thin, like a curtain, separating us from dimensions that lie just beyond human perception. It is said to be the reason why we sometimes feel déjà vu, why dreams can feel more real than waking life, and why people across cultures report encounters with spirits, angels, or energies beyond comprehension. The ancients believed that this veil wasn't just symbolic, it was a very real boundary. The Egyptians spoke of the Duat, the realm of the dead, a place hidden beyond the veil, accessible only through sacred rituals. The Hindus spoke of Maya, the illusion that blinds us from perceiving the ultimate reality. The Norse imagined Yggdrasil, the world tree connecting 9 asterisk eons of existence, where travelers could slip between worlds. These myths were not isolated, they emerged in every corner of the earth. As if cultures separated by oceans were all trying to describe the same hidden truth across Mesoamerica. Shamans painted portals on cave walls, spirals and jaguars marking entrances to spirit realms. In the Pacific, Polynesian navigators spoke of traveling between islands of light guided by stars and dreams. Among the Celts, sacred groves were said to be thin, places where the barrier between worlds became fragile and the voices of the other world could be heard in the rustling of leaves. Modern researchers might dismiss these accounts as imagination, yet the consistency is striking. Everywhere humans have lived, they have sensed that reality is layered and that there are thresholds where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. In some places, those thresholds were mountains, caves, or springs. In others, they were states of mind brought on by trance, fasting, or chanting. These practices weren't random. They were ways of preparing the body and mind to perceive subtle realities. The drumming of a shaman, the incense in a temple, the long vigil of a hermitol were designed to loosen the grip of everyday perception and open the senses to something deeper. In today's language, we might call it altered consciousness. To the ancients, it was simply stepping through the veil. What's fascinating is that even without ritual, most people glimpse the veil at least once in their lives. It might be in a powerful dream, a moment of overwhelming intuition, or a split second of déjà vu where time seems to fold. For an instant, the familiar cracks in something vast peers back. Science, too, is brushing against this mystery. The study of near-death experiences, lucid dreaming, and even the so-called observer effect in quantum mechanics all hint at realities that our 5 senses cannot capture. When people describe floating above their bodies during cardiac arrest or seeing scenes they could not possibly know, researchers are left puzzled. Could consciousness itself extend beyond the brain, touching whatever lies beyond the veil? This is not to say that all claims of the supernatural are true, but the sheer number of consistent testimonies across cultures and centuries suggests there is something more than imagination at work. The veil might not be a literal curtain we can lift with our hands, but a shift in perception, a doorway that opens when our usual ways of seeing falter. In the next stage of this journey, we will explore what lies beyond what people throughout history have reported when the veil parts, and how these visions have shaped religions, myths, and even our modern ideas of the soul. But already one thing is clear. The veil between worlds is not a superstition clung to by the past. It is a living mystery woven into our dreams, our science, and our deepest questions about who and what we are. Asterisk, when the veil parts, what do people actually see? The answers, though varied in detail, often follow strikingly similar patterns in the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Travelers crossing from life to death encounter luminous beings, shifting landscapes, and visions that mirror the state of their own consciousness. For some, the journey is peaceful, filled with radiant light. For others, it is terrifying, with forms that reflect inner fears. The message is clear. What lies beyond is not fixed but shaped by the mind of the traveler. Among the Egyptians, the Duat, their underworld, was a realm navigated by the soul after death. Hieroglyphs depict winding rivers, gates guarded by spirits, and the weighing of the heart against the feather of Mat, the principle of truth. The veil here was not just a passage to somewhere else, but a test of balance, morality, and self-knowledge in ancient Greece. Initiates of the Eleusinian mysteries described visions of divine figures, realms of light, and overwhelming awe. Though bound by secrecy, what fragments we know suggest that these rituals gave participants a glimpse of immortality, consciousness transcending the body. The veil, in this sense, was pierced not only at death, but also through ritual preparation. Even in modern times, near-death experiences echo these ancient descriptions. People speak of tunnels of light, reunions with deceased loved ones, or overwhelming feelings of unconditional love. Skeptics might say these are hallucinations of a dying brain. Yet the consistency of the reports and the transformative impact they leave on those who return suggests something deeper. But the veil doesn't only open at the threshold of death. Mystics, shamans, and visionaries claim to have glimpsed otherworldly realms during states of meditation, fasting, or through natural psychedelics. They describe landscapes more vivid than waking life, beings of light or shadow, and messages that feel far beyond their own imagination. The striking part is this. Whether it is a Siberian shaman journeying through the spirit world, a Sufi poet describing union with the divine, or a modern individual recounting a near-death vision, the core experiences overlap. They all speak of entering a reality that feels more real than our waking world. Where time dissolves and the boundaries of self vanish, could it be that these visions are windows into the same greater reality, one that cultures interpret through their own symbols and languages? If so, the veil is not just a metaphor, but a frontier, a threshold that countless seekers across history have crossed and returned to describe in the next part. We will dive into why this hidden dimension matters, what role it plays in human life, and why so many cultures believe that understanding the world beyond the veil was essential to living fully in this one. Asterisk, why does the veil exist at all? If there truly is another layer of reality beyond our senses, why is it hidden from us most of the time? Many traditions suggest that the veil is not a barrier meant to imprison us, but a filter designed to protect and guide us. Imagine if at every moment we could see the countless dimensions of existence, the spirits, energies, and timeless patterns that flow all around us. It would overwhelm the human mind. The veil, then, allows us to focus on the material world so that we can learn, grow, and live out our human journey without being drowned by the infinite. Philosophers have also argued that the veil exists to preserve free will. If the afterlife, higher beings, or cosmic truths were as obvious as the ground beneath our feet, there would be no choice, no mystery, no reason to seek or question. The hiddenness creates space for faith, curiosity, the personal quest for meaning. Some mystics describe the veil not as something external, but as an inner fog created by fear, ego, and attachment. The more we cling to material illusions, the thicker the veil becomes. Through practices like meditation, prayer, or deep contemplation, this fog begins to clear, and we glimpse the eternal reality beyond. Science, too, has begun to echo this idea in its own way. Quantum physics reveals that what we perceive as solid matter is mostly empty space, energy vibrating at invisible frequencies. Our eyes, limited to a narrow band of light, cannot see the full spectrum of reality. In this sense, the veil is woven into the very biology of perception. We only ever see a sliver of what exists. The purpose of the veil, then, may be twofold: to shield us from what we are not yet ready to comprehend, and to inspire us to seek what lies beyond. It challenges us to ask deeper questions. Who am I really? Where do I come from? Where am I going? And perhaps most importantly, What happens when the veil finally lifts? In the next part, we'll explore the moments in life where the veil thins, the sacred experiences, dreams, and encounters that give us fleeting but powerful reminders that another reality is always close, waiting just beyond sight. Throughout history, people have spoken of moments when the veil grows thin, when the hidden world leaks into our own. These moments often feel charged with mystery, and a sense that time itself bends. Dreams are one of the most universal gateways. In dreams, the rules of ordinary reality dissolve. We encounter people who have passed away, receive messages that feel wiser than our waking mind, or glimpse places we've never been but later recognize. Some believe dreams are not mere imagination, but journeys where the soul steps through the veil into realms of guidance and memory. Death, too, is a thinning of the veil. Those who have stood at the bedside of the dying often describe the atmosphere changing as stillness, strange peace, or even visions of radiant beings waiting beyond. Near-death experiences tell similar stories: tunnels of light, reunions with loved ones, a sense of being home. Skeptics argue these are brain phenomena, but for those who live through them, they are unforgettable encounters with what lies beyond the curtain. Sacred sites and rituals also play a role. Ancient peoples built stone circles, pyramids, and temples aligned with stars and solstices, believing these places were intersections of worlds. Even today, visitors to such sites often report a powerful energy, as if the veil is thinner there. Rituals like drumming, chanting, or fasting are designed to shift consciousness and open the doorways of perception. Moments of grief, love, or awe can also thin the veil. A sudden, overwhelming sense of connection to someone far away. The feeling that a departed loved one is still close, whispering through coincidence or symbol, or the breathtaking silence of standing under a sky full of stars, sensing that the universe is aware of you. These are glimpses that suggest the world we see is not the only one. Children are often said to live close to the veil, their innocent minds unburdened by disbelief. Sometimes report seeing figures or speaking to invisible friends that adults cannot perceive. Whether fantasy or truth, these experiences remind us that the veil may not be fixed. It may grow thicker as we grow older, unless we choose to seek again. These thinning moments are like cracks in a wall. Through them, we sense the vastness of the other side, even if only for a heartbeat. They remind us that the veil is not absolute, that our world is woven with threads from another, but what lies on the far side of those threads. In the next part, we'll explore the possibility that the veil is not only about death or spirit, but about hidden layers of reality that science itself is beginning to touch. Asterisk. If ancient traditions tell us that the veil separates us from unseen realms, modern science has begun to ask similar questions, though in different language. Could it be that what mystics called the other side is related to dimensions, frequencies, or realities that physics is only beginning to recognize? Quantum theory has already challenged our common sense view of reality. Particles can exist in multiple states at once, connected across vast distances in what Einstein called spooky action at a distance. Some physicists have suggested that our universe may not be the only one, that infinite parallel worlds may exist, layered like pages in a book we cannot yet open. If that is true, perhaps the veil is the thin membrane separating these layers, keeping them from fully merging. Time itself may be part of the mystery. We experience time as a straight line, but physics hints it may be more like a landscape where past, present, and future coexist. Could glimpses across the veil déjà vu, prophetic dreams, or sudden flashes of knowledge be moments when we briefly step outside our narrow view of time? Frequency is another key. Everything vibrates, from atoms to stars. We perceive only a narrow range of these vibrations: visible light, audible sound. What if the other side of the veil exists at frequencies our senses cannot detect? Just as radio waves fill the air around us unseen, perhaps whole realms of being hum all around, waiting to be tuned into. Near-death researchers, spiritual teachers, and even some neuroscientists suggest that consciousness itself might not be produced by the brain, but instead tuned into by it like a receiver. When the body ceases, the receiver falls silent, but the signal continues. The veil, then, may not be a wall, but a shift of perception, an adjustment of the dial, while science is careful not to declare the existence of other realms. It is undeniable that the universe is stranger than we imagine. And if our ancestors, mystics, and philosophers were right, then science may one day confirm what they already intuited, that the veil is real, and that beyond it lies a reality more vast and alive than we dare to dream. But here lies the most important question. If the veil exists, and if it occasionally thins, how do we live our lives in relation to it? Do we fear what we cannot see, or do we embrace the mystery, allowing it to give meaning to the fleeting days we walk this earth? In the final part, we'll explore how the awareness of the veil can transform our daily lives, turning fear into wonder and separation into connection. Asterisk, to live with awareness of the veil is to live with humility. It is to recognize that reality is deeper, wider, and more mysterious than our senses can capture. Instead of assuming that life is limited to what we see, we begin to sense that every moment is connected to something greater, something eternal. When we carry this awareness, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A simple dream may hold guidance. A chance meeting might be a thread woven from the other side. A quiet moment under the stars becomes an invitation to remember that we are not alone in the vastness. The veil does not diminish our lives. It enriches them, reminding us that even in our struggles and uncertainties, there is more at play than meets the eye. Spiritual traditions tell us that the purpose of life is not to tear down the veil, but to learn within it. Our lessons, choices, and relationships take on meaning precisely because we live without full knowledge of what lies beyond. Yet, glimpses of the other side through love, beauty, synchronicity, or remind us of our deeper home. In the end, the veil is both mystery and mercy. Mystery, because it conceals the full truth until we are ready. Mercy, because it gives us the space to live freely, to grow, to seek. We do not need to wait until death to feel its thinning. In every act of compassion, in every spark of creativity, in every moment of deep presence, the veil trembles, and eternity shines through. So perhaps the veil is not something to fear or fight. Perhaps it is an invitation, an ever-present reminder that our lives are part of a grander story, one that stretches beyond the visible and into the infinite. And when the final moment comes, when the veil lifts completely, it may not be an end at all, but a homecoming to a reality that has always been waiting just beyond sight. Asterisk.